time! Homework time is here again. Alright, well let's jump into lesson 2 homework by first writing our name atop the page. I will write my name and you write yours. How's that? Take your time, do it right. And let's jot down the date. I'll write today. You write whatever today is, where and when you are in this world, in this life of yours. So here we go. Let's read the instructions. It says, as you did during the lesson, label and represent the product or quotient by drawing dis on the place value chart. So as you did during the lesson 2's problem set was kind of ginormous. It was long and difficult. If you did the whole thing, congratulations. That was a lot of work. So we're going to label and represent the product or quotient, which means we're doing multiplying or dividing, right? And we'll draw dis on the place value chart. All right, we can handle that. We do need, it doesn't mention in the instructions, but we obviously need to label this place value chart itself. So yeah, it does say label, I guess that's it. All right, so we have the ones place. And I know you're getting sick of doing this, but you know, it's only lesson 2, so suck it up, kid. Tens, you'll get this down. Hundreds, you'll know how to spell these words. You will never forget this, especially here. So hundreds and thousands, where you need to watch your spelling. And then very often I'll have fourth graders after thousands comes millions, but no, right? We know that it is 10,000s, and I write the 10 up top, because unless you have the tiniest writing ever, I mean, I have trouble just fitting thousands in here. So works this way. And same thing here, I'll write 100 in 100,000s up above, and then thousands beneath. And I know this is a lot of work for you, but practice will make you better. Maybe not perfect, but better. And here we go, millions. Maybe perfect, who knows? Go for it. All right, so now we are taking 10 times 4,000s is this example. So we'll start by drawing what? 4,000s. And remember, we want to space them out, not make them ginormous, because we know we're going to be doing 10 times, you know, drawing circles, discs rather, underneath these discs. So I want to leave the room and space them out so that's possible. Okay, so 10 times 4,000s. Well, let's actually do that here. So I have one already, so go with me. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and now in the second one there's one there already, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if you forgot why we're doing this, we're multiplying these 4,000s by 10. We're taking each of these 4,000s and making it 10. We're multiplying by 10. So here on this third thousand, there's one there already. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then in the fourth and final thousand, there's one there already. So 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. And we can then answer this blank right here. 10 times 4,000s. Well, how many thousands do we have now? We have 10, 20, 30, 40. So it's 40,000s. Doesn't that make sense? I hope so. 10 times 4 things is 40 things. So 10 times 4,000s is 40,000s. And now I'm going to go up and switch colors to red so you can see clearly me bundle these up. So we can bundle 10,000s up because 10,000s is equal to A 10,000, 1/10,000. And these 10,000s are equal to, you got it, 1/10,000. And these 10,000s are equal to yet another 10,000. And these 10,000s, sorry, yes, these 10,000s are equal to a fourth 10,000. So now what do we have? So 40,000s is equal to, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 10,000s. All right, and that makes sense. 4 10,000s. Okay, we have another one now to do, much like this, so let's hop right on down to 1b. All right, here we are on 1b, and I like that they start us off from the same starting point. Well, let's take just, this is one of the last ones you'll have to do, is labeling this here place value chart. And yep, I'm still on red, so I'm going to label it in red. Not for any reason, but that I'm still on red. You're getting near where you've mastered this, and you won't need to do it anymore. I mean, believe me, the goal is not that you'll be labeling place value charts like in high school kind of thing, right? You're going to get to the point where the place value chart is in your mind, and you just have such a strong sense of how numbers work that you won't even need to refer to the place value chart because it just becomes a part of the way you think. How's it going with the labeling for you? You on 100,000s along with me? Not catch up. And lastly, millions. And now I'll switch back in black. Okay, there we go. So now, let's look at this one. We're again starting with 4,000s divided by 10. And the way this is laid out here might confuse you. Okay, I know the first time it saw me, or I saw it. The first time I saw this kind of example, when I first encountered Eureka Math, I was a little confused by this. But it makes complete sense. Okay, so we're starting with 4,000s divided by 10. Okay, so let's look at that. So we're going to draw 4,000s. 2, 3, 4. Now, before we even do the division, what this question is asking us is, well, that's equal to how many hundreds divided by 10? So in other words, all we're doing is taking 4,000s and saying, well, how many hundreds is that, before we even do the division. So 4,000 divided by 10 is the same thing as saying, how many hundreds divided by 10? So the first step is not to divide. See, that's what makes the phrasing here a little confusing. The first step is to unbundle these 4,000s as hundreds. Okay, so here's what that looks like. So here's 1,000, right? How many hundreds is this 1,000? It's 10 hundreds, right? 1,000 is equal to 10 hundreds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and then the next 1,000 again is 10 hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8z, 9z, 10z, okie dokie. And then the third 1,000 again is 10 hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if you've ever worked with like rods and units and such, you've actually done this, where you take a rod of 10 and you change it in for 10 ones kind of thing. It's that kind of idea. We're unbundling these thousands as 10 hundreds. And we have one more to do here. So that fourth 1,000 will be 10 hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, so 4,000s divided by 10 is the same thing as saying, Well, how many hundreds divided by 10? How many hundreds do we have there? 10, 20, 30, 40 hundreds. So all we've done so far is we have not divided. We've just unbundled. We've made an equivalency. We've said 4 thousands is the same as 40 hundreds. Now, my little friends, we are going to divide by 10. Now, the difference here, now I'm switching back to red for you, is we're going to put them into 10 equal groups. And how many would be in each group? Well, 4. We can see that. We don't even really have to do the math. We can just see, like, okay, so I'm going to put these into 10 equal groups. 2, 3, 4. You see why you have to draw? Kind of take your time and draw carefully here. If 5 is 6, is 7, hit, yeah, 9, and yes, 10. So now I've divided it by 10. I've put them in 10 equal groups. Okay, well, now that I've divided by 10, how many are in each group? There are 4, right? So 4 what? Hundreds, right? So 4 thousands divided by 10 is 4 hundreds. That makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, so 4, and I'm still in red, that's fine. 4 hundreds. So this kind of question can be a little confusing, I grant you, but you see it does make sense. And so basically, here's just a way, kind of a shortcut way of thinking about it. You know, when you're multiplying by 10, times 10 will move you up 1 spot on the place value chart. So 4 thousandths times 10 is 4 10,000ths. Then you're dividing, you're going to go down a place in the place value chart because each place is 10 times less than the higher place. So 4 thousandths divided by 10 would be 4 hundreds. They just wanted you to see this in-between step, the unbundling, and work out the division so you can see, oh yes, when I divide 4 thousandths, also known as 40 hundreds, into 10 equal groups, there are 4 hundreds in each group. That's division, all right? So with that under our belts, let's move on to number 2. Wasn't I just saying, like, the idea is to get rid of the place value chart where you don't need it? That's exactly what we're doing in number 2, where we're going to take something like this. We're going to solve for each expression by writing the solution in unit form and in standard form. So basically now you're doing the same thing we did in 1A and B, but without the place value chart. So let's look at this and see how it works. So if we're doing 10 times 3 tens, picture the place value chart in your mind. 3 tens, I would draw all those discs underneath, so I had 10, 20, 30 tens. Ah, so that's the unit form. I would have 30 tens. Now, if you had 30 tens, and like we did in 1A back there, oh, and you bundled those up, 1, 2, 3 in the hundreds place. So that's 300, isn't it? And we'd write that in standard form, which means just as a regular old number, as 300. And 30 tens is 300. I mean, you can skip count 30 times by 10, and you'll get to 300. Or if you think of 30 $10 bills, would add up to $300, right? Okay, same thing in the next one. 500s times 10. Picture those 500s times 10. How many hundreds do we have now? 50 hundreds, don't we? 50 hundreds is our unit form. And then when we bundled those hundreds up, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 hundreds, we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thousand. And in standard form means as a regular old number. So 5, comma, 0, 0, 0, standard form. Now, same thing here with the division. Notice this one's division. 9 10,000ths, picture that. 9 discs in the 10,000ths place, divided by 10. Ah, well, it would be 9,000s, right? We would just be going down a place. So that would be 9 thousands. And writing that in standard form is the same as the previous one. 9 thousands is 9,000. 9, comma, 0, 0, 0. And once again, 10 times, we're back to multiplication, 10 times 7 thousandths, picture 7 discs in the thousands place, times 10, you now have 70 in the thousands place, 70 thousandths. And in this case in particular, it's easy to see. I grant you that the 50 hundredths equals 5 thousandths. That takes a little processing. So if you don't see that instantly, that's okay. Neither do I. Like you kind of think like, oh, 50, oh, right, yeah, that's 5,000. It takes a second. But in the case of 70 thousandths, that being 70,000, you can see that much more easily. I believe you can. So I'm going to write 70,000. 70, comma, 0, 0, 0. And look at that. Number 2 is already done. Killing it. Killing it, my friend. Let's move on to number 3. Well, number 3 is similar to number 2, but it kind of streamlines it for you. So we will be, again, solving for each expression by writing the solution in unit form and in standard form. The parentheses means simply, just like in writing and using parentheses, like, hey, these things go together. This is a separate little thought unit here. And that's to really explain the parentheses. Otherwise, you might read this first one, 2 tens, 1, 1 times 10, and think that only the 1, 1 was being multiplied by 10. But the parentheses say, no, the 2 tens, 1, 1, that's a thought unit. That goes together. That's one number. And that whole expression, that whole phrase, mathematical phrase, is being multiplied by 10, not just the second part of it there. So that's what the parentheses exist for. I don't think we've seen those yet, so I want to explain them. So let's look at this. 2 tens, 1, 1 times 10. Now, we are getting to where we understand what we're doing well enough that we can kind of just streamline it. 2 tens times 100, you're just moving those 2 tens up a place. So 2 tens times 10 is 2, what's a place up from tens? Hundreds. Ah, you see how streamlined you are now? 1, 1 times 10, just moving it up a place. That 1, 1 is 1 tens after you 1 10, after you multiply it by 10. And now to put this in standard form, you just say, okay, if I have 2 hundreds and 1 10, I'm going to put a 2 in the hundreds place, a 1 in the tens place, and I have no ones now. So there's my number 210, which is actually exactly what that says. Same thing here, 5 hundreds times 10. Well, 5 hundreds, move them up a place. 5. What comes after hundreds in the place value chart? You've done enough of these, yes, thousands. Now you see why we kept labeling that place value chart, so you can be ultra slick with this. And those 5 tens times 10. What comes after tens? We're multiplying, it's moving up a place. 5 hundreds. And now we can write this in standard form. We have 5 thousands, so 5, comma, and then 5 hundreds. We have no tens and no ones. All right. Now we're doing division on these next two, so take note. But it's easy. Instead of moving up a place value, multiplying by 10, increasing the value of the number, we're dividing by 10. We're moving down a place value because we're dividing by 10. So 2 thousands, well, step those 2 discs in your mental place value chart down a place. 2 thousands, what comes before thousands? Hundreds, so 2 hundreds. Getting the hang of this? I knew you would. And notice I'm writing out the whole thing. Don't get lazy on me, kid. Write the whole thing out. I'm doing it. All right, 7 tens. What's down a place from tens? It's ones, right? So 7 tens divided by 10 is 7 ones. Now this is the first one where we have to kind kind of have insert a 0 in a place in between. See, we have 2 hundreds, and how many tens do we have? We have 0 tens, but we have 7 ones. Does that make sense? 207 ones, 207. The mistake here, of course, would be to write 27 or 270 or some other such thing that's not the actual number. All right, and the last one here, number 3, we are dividing by 10 again. So we have 4 10,000s divided by 10. Just taking those 4 discs in the place value chart of your mind, moving them down a place to what comes before 10,000s? Thousands. So 4 thousands. Thou art sand. And now with the 800s, we'll do the same thing. We're dividing in those 800s by 10. In the place value chart in our mind, what comes before hundreds? Tens is one step down on that place value chart. So the 800s divided by 10 is 8 tens. And this is just a streamlined version of what we were doing, writing out the discs. If you want, you can draw a place value chart and draw all these discs. Go for it, bud. All right, so now to write out this one, again, we have some places where we have no values and we have to write a 0. So be careful in writing this number in standard form. I'm going to place a 4 in the thousands place. I know my comma comes after the thousands place. How many hundreds? Correct, 0 hundreds. How many tens? Right again, 8 tens. How many ones? I have 0 ones. Okay, those zeros are important there. All right, well, guess what? The end is near. Yes, let's move on to a number 4 and finish out homework time for today. Well, here we are in number 4. Back to Girl Scout cookies. Yep, Girl Scout cookies. We'll see this again later on. You didn't think you were going to get off without a word problem, right? Because that's how we use math in real life. Life is a word problem, my little friends. So let's read it. 4A tells us that Emily collected $950 selling Girl Scout cookies all day Saturday. Emily's troop collected 10 times as much as she did. So the question is, how much money did Emily's troop raise? Okay, so many ways we could do this. I think I'm going to prefer to go the simplest way, and rather than drawing out an elaborate place value chart and doing it that way, to just kind of think logically and work with numbers and words here. So she has sold $950, and the troop as a whole, or the rest of the troop rather, they collected 10 times as much. 10 times is times 10, right? So now let's just take a minute so we're not getting too shortcutty here, and break this out like we just did in unit form. So we have 9 hundreds. And when you write this out, anyone looking at this homework will say, you know what you're doing. All right, if you just wrote an answer here, I don't know that you really understood what you did. Maybe you got lucky. Maybe you took some shortcut. Maybe your old brother said, oh, it's this. So, but when you write this out, you're proving you understand what you're doing. 9 hundreds, and we have what else? 5 tens in the original number. And that's what we're multiplying by 10. Doesn't this look like just what we did up in number 2 up there? Right. Okay, and so we know now, we're going up the place value chart, so that would be 9 thousands. And those 5 tens, what comes up a spot from the tens place? Hundreds. So 5 tens times 10, 5 hundreds. These are some industrious Girl Scouts. Okay, now to write this as a regular number in standard form is exactly the same as what we did up in number 2 and even in number 3. So we have 9 thousands. I know the comma comes after the thousands place. I'll drop that comma right now. and then 5 hundreds. Tens, we have 0 tens, and ones, we have 0 ones. So just generally, does this answer make sense? Yeah, on a busy Saturday, the whole troop making $9,500. If one girl can make $950, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It seems like a lot of money for sure, but hey, those cookies are good, yo. All right, so now this is a word problem. So we read, we did out the math, and now we're going to write an answer to the question, which is how much money did Emily's troop raise? Well, we just calculated that. So Emily's troop, do not skip this step. Like, I'm a teacher. If my principal asks me for, well, how'd your class do on that test? I'm not going to hand him a bunch of math. He wants the answer, yo. He wants, here's the class average of 92. Like, you got to boil it down to a straightforward answer in real life. Emily's troop, nobody wants to see your calculations in real life, right? You need them, but Emily's troop raised, people want an answer. Bottom line it, baby. How much did they raise? $9,500. Go troop. Now, 4B is a little tricky because it kind of works backwards. But applying that logic of does my answer make sense, assessing the reasonableness of your answer, to use Eureka Math terminology, will help us through this. On Saturday, Emily made 10 times as much as on Monday. Our question is, how much money did Emily collect on Monday? Okay, now think about it. Think. Key question here. It says on Saturday, which we just heard about, the $950, right? That was 10 times more than what she made on Monday. So which day did she make more on? Saturday was 10 times more than Monday. So Saturday's the bigger day. In fact, I'm going to just introduce a little tape diagram here just so I can keep this clear in my mind. Okay, so she made $950, we know, on Saturday. On Monday, we know Saturday's 10 times more, so Monday's going to be smaller, right? In fact, it's going to be 10 times smaller. And that's what we're trying to find, right? What do we do with that 950 from Saturday to find what number is 10 times smaller? To find Monday's. That's right, instead of multiplying by 10, we divide by 10. And doesn't that make sense? Look at it, we'll do it out. We're doing now 950 divided by 10. That's what we want to find. And what makes this confusing, perhaps, is that it says Saturday's 10 times as much as Monday. You might be tempted to multiply by 10 again and get 9,500. Maybe you'll take the 9,500 for some reason and multiply that by 10. But it would not make sense. Would it now? On Monday, that one little girl is going to make $9,500 when it took her whole troop to make that much? And not to get overly logical and Spockian about it, but gosh, Monday's going to be a slower cookie day most likely than a Saturday. So Monday's doomed to be lower sales. So let's write this out the way we did up top. We have 900s. Really, that's a U. 900s, 5 tens, and now we're dividing it by 10 to find Mondays. Well, we already did this, right? Back in numbers 2 and 3, so we know 900s divided by 10, those 900s are going to step down a place in the place value chart, because that's the nature of our base 10 number system. So 900 stepping down a place to the tens place. So it would be 9 tens. And those 5 tens divided by 10 will step down a place on the place value chart. 5 tens divided by 10, 5 ones. Now to write this in standard form is easy. 9 tens, 5 ones. What's the number? 95. Does that make sense for a value for Monday? I don't know if I could squeeze it in here. 95, there we go. Now I need to write my statement to actually answer the question, how much money did Emily collect on Monday? So on Monday, comma, Emily collected and we use a dollar sign because we're talking about money here, $95, period, and done. Homework time is over. Congratulations on your success. You did Lesson 2, Module 1 homework. See you next time when, again, it is homework time.